Hello again, everyone. Today's video is going to be about farming. I absolutely love farming, and I really want to show you guys from the ground up, so to speak, on how to grow food and what to do on planting, where to get your supplies. We're going to start here in Gustovia today. So, that being said, let's start with how to acquire your farming tools. Now, when looking for vendors on the map, if you don't find them in their usual spots, you can use the Alt function to find them. What you want to look for in Gustovia is this guy named here, Edwin.
Ah, you have returned. Only goods
You're
of the
getting old,
highest
Edwin.
quality.
So let's see. What you're gonna want is you're gonna want some bare minimum tools. You're gonna want to buy a little bit of each seed. You can ignore the trees because in the beginning they're way too expensive. Just get like a beetroot seed, a cabbage seed, a carrot seed. I'll get a flax seed, one oat grain, onion seed, poppy, rye grain, and wheat grain. Now make sure when you grab seeds, you don't grab the wheat, the rye, or the oat. You cannot plant those. You will need the grain to plant. Now while you're here, they also sell farming tools. You will need a bag, a hoe, a sickle. That's pretty much it for tools anyway. Now the thing is you can make all of these yourself. I will show you. Press Q to open up your menu. Go to handcrafting. From here you can craft a wooden hoe. Simple bag. Unfortunately, to craft the sickle, you're going to need to craft a smithy. So you're going to have to get to the level of smithy in order to be able to harvest rye, oats, grain, and flax, and poppies. However, at the beginning of the game, you're only messing with vegetables. You will not need a sickle for that. So you can get by on just some leather from either acquired from your traps or hunting, and logs and sticks that you get from cutting down trees. That is where you're going to get your starting tools, as long as you have a bag and you have some fertilizer and some seeds and a hoe. You should be able to start your farm. I will later on explain how to make fertilizer and easier ways to get it without having to pay so much money, but you can buy fertilizer from the same vendor. It will be expensive, but if you do things right, it will pay off in the long run. Now that we've got all the tools, seeds, fertilizer that we need, I'm going to wait till springtime and I'm going to get back to you guys and we'll start a small little plot. I'll show you how to plant and fertilize. See you in a bit. Alright, it's spring. Look at that beautiful spring air. Let's start on a little plot here. Farming. Oh no, I don't want to build a barn. I want to build a field. So I'm going to make a little 3x3 field. Now you can see in the you click where you want it to start, and then you drag, like you're dragging a little thing. Once you get it stretched out the way you want it, you can click again, and now you have these little posts. So let's pull out our wooden hoe. Now you have to till all the ground. So left click. Easy. Now, you have a field. Congratulations. The next step will be pulling out your bag. I have a small bag, a small sack here, simple bag, and you want to fertilize it. So you right click your bag and you will have field and orchard. Orchard is your pear, apple, hop, plum, and cherry. They're trees. Field is where you want to go for planting. You can plant stuff, but first we need to fertilize. So let's select fertilizer. And let's spread this all over the field. Alright, now that we've fertilized the field, let's grab the hoe and let's grub it back up. There we go. Now we have a field that is plowed. Now we can plant. So now we want to take our bag and we want to go back to field, and I'm going to plant pretty much one of everything except for rye. Rye has to be planted in the autumn. So the first thing we're going to plant is wheat. It can be planted in spring and then harvested in autumn, and then planted in autumn again and then harvested in the summer. Each season that it can be planted and harvested is marked on the seed whenever you go to select it. Spring is pretty much the planting season for everything but rye. So let's toss some seeds. Let's sow around wheat. Let's do a little of oat. Let's do flax. Some carrots. Oh. Did I already do it? Oh, poppy. Alright. I'm going to leave this open because of the rye. But this is what I normally start with. Next season, the cabbage, the onion, the carrot, the beetroot, those should all be ready to harvest. The flax as well. The oats and the wheat and the poppy will require another season change in order to be harvested. So you just gotta wait for your wheats and your oats and grains to turn dry and yellow. And it takes a couple of seasons for them to process. So be patient. And once you harvest them, you'll get seeds back. Now, we'll return in about a season, and I'll harvest and you'll see what we get. And here we go. Summer is here. Now, let's take a look at our crops. Now, you can see the carrots are not ready to harvest. They take at least another season. The flax is ready to go, so we can pull out a sickle if you have one, and you can harvest it. Now you notice we got 10 flax. See, the oats are still green. They will require another season, just like the wheat. The beetroots also require another season to grow. However, cabbage you can plant twice. You can technically plant cabbage again right now. It's one of the only veggies in this game that you can plant 2 times a year. Rye and wheat you can plant 2 times a year, but those are grains. There, the onions are ready to collect, and our poppies aren't ready yet. They'll be very gray and dried out when they're ready. Now, I don't think we can plant rye yet, but you'll notice as I harvested those, I got a little bit of seeds here and there. Now let's see. Oh, nope, I think we gotta wait until autumn. So I won't show you that one today, but you got an idea. Now you have some vegetables. Look at that, cabbage and onion. Awesome. Now, I'm gonna take you over to the barn and I'm gonna show you about making manure, or at least making fertilizer with manure and making fertilizer with rot. Go over here to our workbench. And you have fertilizer. It requires 2 manure. Craft. And then rot. And now all of that spoiled food and manure will go back into the field. Now let's go back to the field and let's reap, sow, and plant. Now, let's add some fertilizer to the field and make sure everything is tilled up so that when we want to replant, we can. So there, the onion spot. Now let's bring out our wooden hoe. There we go. Now, you're all set. Just keep cycling the spots. You can make this field as big as, I believe, 15 by 15 squares. There's some pretty big fields you can go out there and find. It's very, very rewarding, and you can live off of one crop if you overproduce. It's really up to you if you want to mix it up, and it depends on what seeds you have, but you can live if you plant right. Your biggest problem is going to be getting fertilizer early on. It's expensive. I would suggest using rot. A suggestion on getting a lot of rot early on is during the springtime you can get berries. Now, as I said before, rot is 1-to-1. One food item per rot. A berry bush just gave me 5 berries. That means that's 5 rot. So if you got berries or unripened berries and then you let them spoil overnight or over the seasons, you can gain a lot of rot really fast. So this is a really good way early on when you can't afford fertilizer to actually get some form of fertilizer. The only downside to all of this, of course, is you have to have a barn. Now, as your farm grows, you're going to need to acquire fertilizer, and you can't keep buying it. However, you can produce fertilizer in 2 different ways. If you don't want to buy it, you can either hire pigs, and they will produce manure. They will actually overproduce manure, they always do, which then can be crafted into fertilizer, or you can wait for some of your food and vegetables to go bad and then use the rot. The rot is not efficient, but it is completely recyclable. If you're just starting out, you might have a farm plot, but you may not have a barn yet, and if you don't have a barn, you can't make anything. So, make sure to have a barn set up before you start making fertilizer, otherwise you're going to be purchasing it. Let's look at the pigsty. The pigsty has hogs and pigs. And if you go to the automation tab, you will see manure. Now, this is a full complement of pigs with a max farming skill. I want you to understand what I'm doing. I am maxing this out to show you what max potential looks like on this and how it can get out of control. Look at that. 575 manure a day. These pigs will overproduce to your heart's content. However, they are very expensive. So once you get the pigs, you never have to worry about fertilizer ever again. Getting the money for the pigs, however, is another story. Well, anyway, that is how you go farming from start to finish relatively. Now, you can vary your fields, and orchards are produced the same way. You plant the trees, except the difference between orchards and fields is orchards take years to grow. It may be at least 2 years before 2 or 3 before you start seeing fruits. Although I highly suggest growing fruits, at least one of each, so that you can make fruit juices and wines. You can use those in your village to keep people happy, or you can sell them for pretty decent money. Otherwise, you can use the fields to grow the food that you need to feed everyone in your village, and if you manage your fields right, and you get some good animals like pigs to provide manure, you can produce an infinite amount of fertilizer, and you never have to go and buy it again. But at the beginning, you might have to make do with using rot or anything else that you can find, or just simply grinding money. But it's up to you what to do. I hope you sow your fields well, and I hope a bountiful harvest. I'll see you guys next time.